What up? We are starting a brand spanking new series, and this series is all about joy. And I thought it was fitting, like kind of jumping off where we ended our Philippians series, where he was like encouraging us, like rejoice, rejoice, right? And the world feels like it's opening back up again, and we're not like out of the woods, but clearly we're in a much different place and it feels much better and the weather is warmer. Well, today it's cloudy, that's why it might look kind of darker in the video, but like it's spring, right? Resurrection, Easter, it's all so good. So I thought it'd be a good time to talk about joy. So we're going to do a 3-week series. And in our first week, I want to talk about two main ideas. So it's a 3, a 1, and then a 2. Two main ideas. And I want to talk about what is joy. And then I want to talk about where does joy come from. So what is joy? I think a lot of times when we hear the word joy, or when someone's like, I feel joyful, it's very similar feeling to happy or happiness, right? And I don't think there's actually anything wrong with that, because I do think it is a similar feeling to happiness. But I think there's a key difference in that, like its source or where it's coming from, right? And I would say that happiness comes from external sources, and joy comes from internal sources. Happiness is external, joy is internal. And because of that, there's a big difference in like maintaining it and holding on to it. Whereas happiness can be kind of fleeting and it can come and it can go, joy can be deep and long lasting. Happiness can be fleeting and joy can be deep and long lasting. So let's talk about that idea, right? What are things that make you happy? What makes you happy? I love when I eat my favorite food. I love when my friends are being funny and we're joking around, right? I love playing video games, reading a good book. There's so many things that bring me happiness. But then the thing is, what happens if I haven't eaten my favorite food for a while? What happens if I haven't seen my friends who make me laugh for a while? What happens if the thing I'm reading is for school and it's more boring than it is entertaining, right? There's so many external things that can change, that can affect our happiness, right? What if instead of my friends telling jokes, it's someone who I don't know who is saying rude things to me, right? So our external circumstances change and then we are no longer happy. But can we remain joyful even when the circumstances, the external things around us aren't the way that we would like, right? It's hard to be happy when things around us aren't going well, but can we be joyful? I think we can, because like I said, joy, the source where it comes from is internal. Um, this is like a very strange, and maybe it's unique to me. Maybe you guys have experienced something similar, but obviously I'm in a wheelchair. It makes some aspects of my life harder than maybe other people have to experience. There's maybe some benefits, like I can go down hills really fast. But anyways, it is easy to observe from the outside being like, oh, I bet his life is hard or harder than other people's. And I had someone come up to me one time and they said, we were just chatting, but then kind of out of no, we must have been joking or laughing about something. And then they said, my dad thinks it's so strange that you can still be so happy. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, because you're in a wheelchair. And I thought that was very interesting because, right, that is an external thing that isn't maybe necessarily the thing I would choose. And so it'd be easy to assume, oh, well, he cannot be happy because of his external circumstances, right? But I can still have joy. I can still have joy because it's an internal thing. So, if joy is an internal thing, where does it come from? Well, we're going to look at a verse. This verse is Philemon, chapter 1, verse 7. Philemon, chapter 1, verse 7. Let me read it to you real quick. The verse says this: "Your love has given me great joy and encouragement because you have refreshed the hearts of the Lord's people." So there's one little phrase I want to key in on. Your love has given me great joy. And I don't necessarily think, I think this verse is about a person telling another person that their love has brought them joy. But I think it can teach us that in general, love brings joy. Love brings joy. So how can joy be internal then? Well, over and over, honestly, in every series, at some point, I try to hammer home the fact that you sitting right there watching this video, whatever you have going on in your life, whatever stresses, whatever worries, whatever celebrations, whatever is on your plate for today, whatever is on your to-do list, whatever you're wondering what's going to come next, wherever you're at, you right there are so deeply and infinitely loved by God just for being you. You are loved. And holding on to that, internalizing that love, knowing that all of you, right, your successes and your failures are deeply loved and held by God, that should bring you joy. That should bring you joy. So that when the things in our life around us don't go the way we want, we know that we are deeply loved, right? That we are not in this karmic based system of, oh, something's going wrong in my life. That must mean something wrong. There's something wrong with me. I must have done something wrong to cause this. No. Sometimes bad things just happen. But through it, you are loved. And knowing deep inside that you are loved, no matter what choices you make, no matter what friends you have, no matter what you're doing or not doing, that you are loved, that can bring you joy, right? That can be the source of your joy, and eternal joy, right? Because that love that God has for you never runs out. So that's what I mean when I say that joy is internal and can last despite your circumstances. It can last despite your circumstances. Everything can be going wrong in the world around you, and you can still have joy. Now, obviously, it's easier. I started this video by talking about all the things that are positive that are happening in the world. It can feel easier when the things around you are going well, but you can still have joy. There is still reason. There is always reason to rejoice and celebrate because we are loved. And that is good news, right? Doesn't mean you can never be sad. Doesn't mean sad things don't happen. Doesn't mean you can't be angry, right? But it does mean that underneath it all, right, there is this pillar that cannot be shaken of love and joy. So that is week 1 of joy. It'll be a 3-week series, like I said earlier. Next week, we'll talk about a different aspect of joy. But I hope you find something to be joyful for today.